Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mind Split Cafe. And today, as you can tell, we are Mattless. Matt is going around traveling today, taking care of some business. So we wish him the best on that. But today we have a very special guest that reached out to us, and I'm very excited that he did. And today we have Dr. Robb Kelly out of Texas. Dr. Robb, do you want to give us a quick rundown of your credentialing, what you do, and why you're here?
Yeah, sure. My name's Dr. Robb Kelly. I specialize in childhood trauma, depression, addiction, alcoholism, which is slightly different from addiction. Been in the industry for about 30 years, over 8,000 patients, have 6 offices around the world now. I've been on TV, books, all that great stuff. I'm kind of the guy that deals with the high-profile celebrities and CEOs
Okay.
today. We do, and this is what I love to say, Chris, we do 25% of our work pro bono to make sure that we give back. So I only carry 4 patients, but yeah, studying neuroscience around addiction, and we have a 97% success rate, absolutely unheard of. And the
Wow.
best
Yeah, no kidding.
unheard of is if you relapse whilst following our program after you leave us, we'll refund your money.
Wow, really?
Really, I know, right? Yeah.
That's phenomenal. That just kind of shows how much you trust in your process that you would give you, a rebate or a refund. I love
Exactly.
it.
Well, we're great believers in, if we turn down more patients than we take on, don't get me wrong, but we have to pass an assessment to come on, you can't buy our services. So I was the guy that turned Britney Spears down for $1 million in Dallas, Texas, several years ago. It's like, if I can't help you, we won't take you on. So we want to guarantee that you're going to complete and be good. But also what we do is we bring the wife or girlfriend on, and they have to do 2 days a week. And if the girlfriend or wife doesn't want to come on with the, let's say, alcoholics, the guy, then we won't take you on. So when we
Nice.
found is when the family's involved, anybody over the age of 18 living in the house where the alcoholic addict is, when they're involved, the success rate goes up by 42%.
Wow, so what you're saying is when someone has their counterparts, their family, their girlfriend, significant other involved in their recovery, the success rate shoots up by that percentage?
Yes, but
Wow.
what most people do is they, like in a treatment center, they'll bring them in once or twice a month. And then what happens is they talk to the wife about, the client, about the husband. We don't do that. When the wife comes in, we're working on her trauma.
Oh, I
You
love it. That's smart.
so, it's like a house. If we take the alcoholic, let's say this house speaks English. If we take the alcoholic out into our program that, let's say, speaks German, then when he's finished, we're putting back into the English speaking house. Guess what? He's going to start speaking English again. So we need to work on both people so that on the same language, exactly on, they've both done the trauma work, which is the gateway drug, and then
Mhm.
they come together harmony, and life is beautiful because that's what it's about today. Living the dream
Yeah.
is what you're doing.
That's actually a very smart approach, or a smart model to it, because you essentially you're giving the spouse or family member treatment as well, because they went through trauma, they went through depression, anxiety, anger because of the addiction as well.
100%. In actual fact, everything I say, and I've done for years, we've trial tested, researched in laboratories, hospitals, scientific researchers. What we found with, let's say, again, sorry guys, the guy's the alcoholic or addict, but it's really serious, like they don't know where it's going to kick off. There's fist fights some nights. We tested the wife pertaining to the trauma, and we tested the soldier coming back from Afghanistan, and the scale was exactly the same.
As far as the trauma or PTSD from the
Yes.
event, wow,
Yes.
really?
Both don't know when it's the last day. Both don't know, kind of walk around on eggshells. It's the kind of stuff where you're alert while living in an alcoholic, dysfunctional house. The wife is alert because she doesn't know what's going to happen. And the child who's growing up in that environment, sort of 9, 10, 11, 12, they listen like trauma. They listen for the key going in the door when dad gets home. If it goes straight in, it's safe. If it jiggles around because he's drunk, they go and hide. So the
Wow,
childhood trauma affects the adult. It's about putting them two together.
I love that. That's a phenomenal way of looking at it, and I think that kind of attributes to your success rate as well. So If you don't mind, I kind of want to see if we can break down your treatment and what you do for patients. If you don't mind, I know some of it might be proprietary information, but can you walk us through or paint us a picture of what someone will experience going through your treatment?
Of course, so the assessment comes first, and then it's 90 days at 7 days a week. So you don't get a day off for 90 days. And then we drop you down to 4 days for another 3 months. And then, if you want to stay on like once a week, once a month, the once a month is done free of charge for the rest of your life. So we're using tools like obviously traditional psychology. I have two PhDs, guys, psychology and behavioral science. So we're using psychology, we're using behavioral science. All of my coaches, stroke therapists, and master's levels therapists or counselors that's come away into coaching. We do NLP, neuro linguistic programming. We use brain spotting, which has not been out that long, where our movement will take you through the pupils into the subconscious brain. So when the eye flickers over here, that's somewhere in the subconscious brain been alerted. Now the patient won't know about that, but we bring that out of them. Somatic experience, again, is awesome. So we use all them tools, as well as talk therapy and whatever we need to do, Chris. I mean, from the minute you get out of the car, 90% is telehealth, which you'll see the background changing. Every time a patient gets out, something's changed in the background. So while the conscious brain is looking around, trying to find what's different, we go straight into the subconscious brain while the conscious mind is busy. We start clearing all this crap up from the past. So one day the book might be there, next session will be gone. But if you're coming into the office, as soon as you get out of the car, let's say you're a golfer. So we want to be talking on the same language when you come in. So we research the guy or girl, let's say you found out he's into golf. We'll place a golf ball outside the office in the grass. So subliminally he's seen it. Then when you come in, there'll be the Open playing, the golf tournament on the TV as he sits and waits. So by the time he comes in to see me or one of my therapists, we're on the same wavelength. We're on the same vibration, so we can go straight into it straight away.
That's interesting. And I noticed you had mentioned that you add in a little bit of a talk therapy into there. And this is one of my favorite questions to ask a lot of our providers that have come on. What is the gold standard modality that you use? I mean, there's all kinds. There's CBT, there's DBT, there's motivational interviewing. What do you find to be most effective within your treatment setting?
Subliminal messages.
Okay.
Like we're different to anybody else. From what we know, we are. It's not sit down and we talk about certain things. It's all about coming in, chatting. And most of our patients after the treatment we just sat there and chatted. I have no idea what we did, but I feel amazing. It's because we're planting subliminal messages. And then we're going back to the trauma and we're picking that apart. So with alcoholics and addicts, it's not the plane crash, the divorce, the bullying. It goes way deeper than that because we're sensitive. So alcoholics, I'm just going to say alcoholics, guy. Alcoholics hear things different than the normal people. So when my mom said to me and my brother, get down off that table before your dad gets in, he jumps down, I freeze. And why do I freeze? What I've heard, get down off that table, is what I've heard from the trauma and the way my brain, 3 parts of the brain differ in alcoholics to any other brain, and they need fixing. Otherwise, if we don't fix it and clear the trauma up, you're always going to relapse if you're the real alcoholic, because there's a fine line, but very, very important line between heavy drinkers, abusers, and alcoholism. Alcoholism is the only self-diagnosed illness in the world. A doctor can't say, you're alcoholic, 10 DWIs don't make you an alcoholic. If something happens, I have what's called a predisposition. So I'm allergic to the ethanol in alcohol. So that's what happens. The mental obsession starts. What if we rewire the brain and recircuit and replace the verbal inside job and the way our brain works? Because the mind sits inside the brain, mind over matter. So if we can program the mind every morning, because then 3 parts reset every 24 hours, it's not an AA thing, it goes way before that. If we can program the mind to actually take over and program the brain every single day, then we're never going to relapse. And it's all these techniques that we found just through experience. When I was homeless, I lost everything. I lost cars, houses, wife, children, money. The parents, brothers won't speak to me. I was on the streets, left there for 14 months, begging for money and stealing alcohol. Literally sleeping on the bushes and on park benches at night time. So that experience, which I thought was horrible at the time, now becomes my greatest asset. Because
Yeah,
unless,
that shaped you.
exactly, unless you can connect with that patient on that level, I'm a great believer. If you go to college and you know suffer from alcoholism, you can't help me because you don't understand how my brain works.
I
And
agree.
what I say to people, if you're a therapist and I come into you and I say, hey, you've got a bottle of vodka behind your back and I will stab you in the face until you're dead to get that bottle. Most therapists go, when you meet one that goes, oh yeah, I do the same as well.
Yeah, they know.
That's your guy, because you don't know what we go through. You don't know what I would do for alcohol. I would literally, I kill you. I bury you in the desert for half a bottle of vodka. There's no doubt what. I stabbed my wife 3 times one night, Chris, because she won't let me finish my bottle of vodka.
It's
How
that primal brain kicking in, survival
exactly?
mode. Absolutely. And something caught my eye when you said that you're kind of reforming the brain, or you're retraining the brain. So does that play along the lines of neuroplasticity, kind of
100%.
proving that the brain can change both matter and structurally?
Exactly. That's exactly. I specialize in neuroplasticity as well as the neuroscience side of the trauma. But definitely, yeah, we can program brains. So what we found in our latest research, and other millions of people, I guess, have found it first, but we do our own research. We
Yeah.
don't listen to other podcasts. We don't listen to any of the treatment centers. We do our own stuff because it works. So 300-ish neural pathways, which are thought patterns, die every single day. What are you replacing them with?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good way of looking at it.
So we're replacing it with a routine, with good thinking, with internal dialogue, with complimenting people. Are we getting the 4 chemicals every day that we need to be happy on a daily basis? Are we getting them? And then everything starts to make sense. So we attract what we think we are worth. So if we're going through life like most people do, alcoholic or not, 45% of your capability. That's all we do. We daren't dream anymore. We don't want to do anything in case we get rejected. It's like BS is what it is. Every single person listening to this can reprogram. If I was to work with you, reprogram the way you think. And once you do that, guys, what we found is, I believe that the mind is energy and spirit. So if we can connect with another spirit, God, Uncle Jimmy, universe, whatever it is, when we connect with a higher power of sorts, and we work on your neuroplasticity, are you ready, Chris? Your DNA changes. So you're not the same guy when you come to us as when you
Yeah.
leave. That's why our success rate is so high with the money back guarantee. Is like once we change it, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to reprogram yourself, because you can't do it.
See, and I wholeheartedly agree with neuroplasticity, and that people can change and people can grow. And I hope I don't offend anyone when I say this, or I make any enemies of the podcast, but that's why when I heard a lot about the 12 step, solely just 12 step, it kind of blew my mind that they literally say, and for lack of better words, I'm going to put it in a different way, but they essentially say, you're not the same, you're never going to be the same, you're going to struggle the rest of your life. But then we have neuroplasticity that literally says the opposite, that you can change and we will change you.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting concept to me, and I'm not saying the 12 steps don't work. I'm just saying that there's different recovery paths for different people. It's not a one size fits all. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I got sober in AA, guys. I was in AA for 29 years.
Yeah.
Just recently pulled away to do, other stuff. But so I've studied Carl Jung. I've done a lot of studying with 2 PhDs, a master's and a bachelor's, all around mental health and psychology pertaining to that. And I will tell you now, guys, we know that book. We know the big book. The big book is one of the best pieces of literature I have ever studied pertaining to the recovery. But what we've done is we've torn that book apart, and we're not carrying that message in AA. 97% in Akron when we first came out for a few years, less than 3% now. I ask people all the time, 12-step meetings are amazing, but they won't keep you sober. What does the book say? Well, step 1, we're always powerless over alcohol. Or no, it doesn't say that. It said we admitted we were. I'm not powerless. I passed 4 liquor stores on the way to work this morning. I'm not powerless, but people tell you that you are. As long as
Yeah.
we keep putting somebody out. If I tell you a lie now, you might believe it. If I tell you a lie often enough, you're going to believe it. But guess what? If I tell you a lie real often enough, I start to believe it. So when
Yeah.
people tell us that we can't change you, we can't be amazing, you can't conquer every single dream that you have, it's just not true.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And, like I said, I'm not trying to bash any one recovery method. I just find it funny that one recovery method says we're the best, no one else can keep you sober. Yet there's plenty of other people out there that do it different ways and stay sober themselves. So it's refreshing to see a different take on recovery and the way that you look at it. It's more of a science backed, and I love it. I think that is on point 100%.
Yeah, they used to tell me go 90 meetings in 90 days. Meetings will never keep you sober. It's the routine and talking to other people during the meetings, but will never keep you sober. But listen, if standing on the roof naked once a week keeps you sober, brilliant. I'll back that 100%, because one of the reasons that I was really pissed with AA and NA and all that stuff is I was sick and tired of seeing people die inside and outside the rooms. It's like, we're not carrying a message, but if your message is church, brilliant, 100%. If your message is a mentor, whatever it is, guys, and it's working for you, AA is not the only way. NAC is not the only, church is not the only way. There's a bunch of stuff out there. Go try them. Don't be single-minded, because I can tell you now, Chris, I used to be a circuit speaker for AA. And like I said, I got sober. I love AA to the day I die. But you know what I found traveling around the world for 25 years, speaking on behalf, is I reckon, and this is my opinion, it's not scientific fact, that anywhere, at any time, in any place, 90% of people in AA are not real alcoholics. There you go, I've said it. They're the drinking, or the lonely, or the probation officer said, very little people go to AA on the first day and say, I've stopped drinking forever. You're not an alcoholic if you can do that. If I can do that, I don't need it. If I can do
Yeah,
that, I
it's
don't
not that
go.
easy.
Yeah, so it's like heavy drinkers and abusers, brilliant. But once you get into the real alcoholic, you've really got to seek out the other guys into that book, because that book is a solution. There's a 131 must words, stuff I must do. There's 145 promises, not just step 9 promises. There's 351 God words. There's all this to take in consideration, which I took and run, but I always had a niggling feeling that the childhood trauma was the key.
And I might. This is a public discourse. This is a recovery community discourse that I'm about to ask, but it kind of plays on what you just said. But how do you feel about harm reduction and meeting someone where they're at, and not saying like, "Hey, from this day you got to be 100% sober and work"? What about harm reduction and meeting them where they're at to work to the ultimate goal of complete abstinence?
100%. People say you must take Suboxone, you must take. Listen, guys, if it's just taper you're using and not a substitute for heroin, let's say, for instance, as long as you have an end result for that taper, we'll take you on. We love you. Come on board. But if you're taking Suboxone for 2 years, you obviously don't want to get sober, first of all, and it's working for you. But you have to meet people where they are. Like when we get a new patient, my staff don't tell me nothing about him, because I've asked them not to. So when I go in for the first time I'm meeting him on his level. I don't know nothing about him. We start from scratch, both of us. It's really important that you understand, the alcoholism, the childhood trauma, the depression, the drug addiction. You have to understand where they're at, meet them there, just like you said, Chris, perfect, and then work from there. Relapse is part of the disease. It's not part of the solution, because you ain't going to give anybody a solution in the first day. So if they relapse, the first thing I tell them, if you relapse, in the first week, and it's up to you whether you relapse or not, don't call me first of all, because I can't get over and stop you drinking, and part, it's you probably never have that thought pattern again once we get through the first week. But permanent recovery is possible. But not only that, so I stopped drinking, so I know quite well I'm never going to drink again in my life. What am I left with? Am I left with Rob, who's pissed off, angry with the world, pissed off with his ex-wife, don't see the kids, never amount to anything here, all that stuff? I mean, it's a process of bringing out, even the behavioral science is a process of changing the way we do things and believing in oneself. Because not a lot of people do. They say they do, but I've worked with the biggest speakers in the world. They're these guys that draw millions of people. They started in here, going through their career, which everybody adored them, was selling them, and they're still in that place of not going. So I had to meet them on that level. Yeah, we know you're successful, but I'm working with 3 guys now that probably own the biggest movies in the last 5 years.
Wow.
But they're going through this, not always alcohol or drugs, but just that childhood trauma never feels good enough. So we have a saying in this company, you're never going to be blonde enough, tall enough, thin enough, or rich enough. The quicker you understand that, that's the baseline. And then we can go forward.
I think that's a phenomenal saying, or I mean, that's phenomenal baseline, because you're already setting yourself up for failure if you don't think that way. If you try and think that I'm gonna be the best or I'm gonna be the blondest, like you said, you're already setting yourself up for failure. And I agree with that. I like that saying. Now, you had mentioned, and I'm going to give you a chance to kind of just like go off and let our viewers know everything you want them to know. But early on in the conversation, you had mentioned that you have some conferences coming up. You hold so many of them a year, and you have a couple of them coming up. I actually, one of our guests, Frank, is going to be on your in one of your conferences coming up as well. So that'll be cool.
Parisi.
Can you talk about Frank Parisi? Yep. Can you talk about these conferences and what they are, where they're at, and how our viewers can find them?
Well, there's a couple we do, but the most important one is that we have the most impact on people. It's the euroheroconference.com is the website. It's here in San Antonio. It's a 2-day event, Friday and Saturday, 19th and 20th. We've got some great speakers in. But basically what it is we guarantee to change your life in those 2 days, otherwise you get your money back. Everything's about the quality. I've seen these guys on stage like, who wants to be a shout, I want to be a millionaire. What a bunch of crap that is. And by the way, they keep going back because nobody becomes a millionaire. It's like,
Yep.
if you're chasing money, I can make it happen. If you're chasing getting your children back, I can make it happen. That's what it's about. We don't earn any money off the conferences, and we don't earn any money off the Robb Kelly Foundation. Now, I'm not here to sell my program. I'm not here to sell my books or anything. Go find it if you want it. These podcasts that I do, which are selected podcasts like yours, Chris, is to help one human being. And that's what the conferences are. We have about 40 here. We also have a Euro Realty conference where we're teaching realtors to make the first million in the very first year that they go in, because 90-something% lead in the first 5 years. So we've got that going on, and we've just got a lot of fun things. We've opened a British tea shop next to my office, next door. I own both of them. So people come in and have, lunches and breakfast, English breakfasts and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I'm living life.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Look, guys, if you've been through what I've been through, and I don't mean to the extent, a flat tire when you're in that place is the worst thing in the world. But if you've been what I've been through, guys, we're the only people that get 2 lives in one lifetime. So I messed the first one, obviously. So my second lifetime is carefree. Like I signed an office deal about 4 or 5 years ago in Dallas for $1 million over a period of time. It was $1 million that I signed. And my friend says, how are you going to sleep at night? And my answer, Chris, is this. What the hell can they not do to me that I haven't already done to myself? What happens? Yeah. They're going to take the office back. Big deal. So I'm reaching all the time for the next thing, because you've got to do, it's not about me, this Chris. It's not about me. I've worked with over 8,000 patients in the last 30 years. How many other patients? Because I live a great life, Chris. I have the car, I have the house, I have the, everything I wanted that I thought would make me happy, I've got, and he did. But if you believe in God like I do, whatever that looks like, or Uncle Jimmy waiting for you, I know quite well when I get up there and the big gates open, God's not going to ask me, how big was your car and how much was your house?
Yeah, that stuff's staying here. That's not going up there with you.
Yeah, it's like, how many people did you help, Rob? That's what I was going to ask. And I want an answer for that. I want to be able to give people a specific answer for that, because that's what it's about. So to back that up, 25% of our work is pro bono. We do it free of charge. We'll even pay for, you pick you up, bring you in, or whatever it is, we'll pay. And then the foundation, we used to put 150,000, me and my wife, back into the community. So we created this foundation, robbkellyfoundation.org, like literally 3 months ago. to help more people.
Yeah.
But yeah, living life, Chris.
And how do you you absolutely are, and I love it, especially because your bottom line, your mission is unmatched. I mean, you're about helping people, and all the nice things that come along with it is just a byproduct, and you are in it for the right reason. So I love that, and I think that's great. Now, how can your or if someone is experiencing substance abuse but doesn't have the means to attend your program, you say that there is a way that they could possibly get it taken care of kind of through like a scholarship or something through your foundation. How
Of
do they
course.
get selected?
Well, what happens is to get in contact with us, just go on our website, you'll find it, and then message to us. And then what we do is we send you paperwork, and you kind of again have to pass that assessment. We're not going to waste your time if you not want to get well and you just want to go in treatment for 4 weeks. We're not going to take you on, unfortunately. So the assessment makes sure with the questions that you really want to do this. And then, like I said, there's a little bit of a queue for this, the waiting list, probably
Yeah.
about once, which is, people say it's not good by then, but we're doing our best, guys. But yeah, they fill it in, we take you on, and we look after you, you know, we really do. So with the foundation, we kind of, if you're a dad trying to see your child once a week and you got to go court, we'll buy you that suit. We'll put 12 months money down on your apartment. You know, we'll buy you what we want you to show up a recovered alcoholic or addict, knowing quite well that you're responsible, you haven't got the financial means. We'll set you up with all of that. And again, whatever is needed, we'll do. I have a book that's on Amazon. It's $9. You know what I say to people? Contact me. I will sign the book for you, send it free, and pay the postage. You know, this is not about the money. It was never about the money, Chris. Even
Yeah.
when I was broke, it was never about the money. But, you know, only the last 5 years have we started to earn good money because I was always giving away stuff free because it would be a crime for me not to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, the again, the byproduct, the money is nice, but it's not the bottom dollar, the reason why you're doing it. And that's why it's becoming more abundance is because you're doing it for the right reasons, or at least in my opinion, that's what I think.
100%. You knocked the nail on the head.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, when I was chasing money, I wanted the Bentley, I wanted the Ferrari, I wanted the $1 million house, I wanted the gold Rolexes, all this stuff that I got about 4 years ago. I remember driving from my house in Highland Park, the very distinguished place
Yeah,
in
that's where
Dallas.
my dad went to high school, Highland Park High School.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll know it's very affluent. So my office is in Highland Park. We had medical offices there. And you know something? I came out, I got in my 911, okay, the latest one, 180,000.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
went to work, and I was one of the most miserable people in the world.
Money
You
can't buy the happiness.
know? I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been broken, I've been rich. I'd rather be rich any time, but there has to be a balance. How much are
Yeah.
you giving back? How much money are you giving back? Anybody can turn up at my office now that's been thrown out by the wife and will literally give you $100. We don't even want your name, we don't want nothing, and people turn up. You know, I'm in a bad situation, there's $100. Go do what you gotta do, you know? Because it's
I
all
love
about
it.
giving back. It's nothing about, you know, it's just not, Chris. And I guess you know that by now with me. It's just we need to help other people. It's the foundation of my recovery.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And it's one of the steps, be of service. And I agree. I agree 100%. The more you give back, the more comes your way. And obviously do it for the right reasons, not I'm going to do this so hopefully I can get paid back one way or another. You know, scratch someone else's back without asking for anything in return. That's usually when things start to come your way, or at least I've thought that, or I've found that.
I agree. I mean, you'll never find me. We take waitresses like stupid people, but you never find me photograph giving somebody money with a photograph of me and him or her. You never find that. In actual fact, I was dating my wife 10 years ago, and we were in Dallas, and we'd just been for this nice meal with friends of ours, and she got this carry-out thing in a bag, and it was a nice burger with something, and we walked past this homeless guy, and we walked about 5 or 6 yards, and I didn't say anything, and she stopped, and she didn't say anything to me, and she turned around, and she walked over, and she got the food out, and she gave it to him, and right there and there, Chris, I knew she was going to be my wife.
That's awesome. I love that. One random act of kindness, and you figured out she was going to be the one. That's awesome.
Because you never know. Everyone says, if you're not changing the world on a daily basis, what the hell are you doing? Because I'm people that can't change the world. Next time you're in a built up area of people, sneakers are always the best. Look at somebody coming towards you with nice sneakers. Go, hey, forward. Hey, man, nice sneakers. He'll go, oh, thank you, man. When he walks past you, turn around and watch him. He's going to look down at his sneakers at least 2 or 3 times. Now he's happy. Guess what? When he goes on to the wife or girlfriend, because marine part of the brain, because he's happy, now she's happy. Now mother-in-law calls, and you get the gist. It's just ripple
Yeah.
4 freaking words. You just changed the world.
I'm gonna have to start trying this out. I mean, I definitely believe you because the psychology of it, people like to talk about themselves or feel good about themselves, and if someone gives them a compliment, I mean, that makes sense, 100%.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And if you're listening to this, guys, I want to tell you 2 things. First of all, I'm going to give you 3 things to do tomorrow morning. I'll change your life. End of
All
story.
right.
Then I'm going to give you my personal phone number. If you're in the place that Chris and I have just talked about, if you're at the dying edge, and you know that there's a great story, true story about a guy who wanted to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge and throw himself off, and so he did. And obviously he died, and they fished him out. The police. He went back to his apartment, and they looked in his apartment. They found a note on the kitchen table, and it read, "I'm going to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge and throw myself off, unless on the way somebody smiles at me, or says hi, or talks to me." Let me ask you a question, guys. How many people have you walked by today heading to the Golden Gate Bridge?
That's a good question.
Yeah. So always think of that. I know we're coming to the end now. 3 things, guys. Do it tomorrow morning. I'm going to love you. One of the reasons why nobody has ever woke up laughing is lack of oxygen. So I'll do my breath work. No. The presence of oxygen equals a lack of disease. Every disease, including cancer and growths and all that stuff, they are created and grow in a hypoxic area of the body. So we only breathe 45%. Okay? So we're not getting the oxygen we need, the repair. When you get up in the morning, our oxygen is low and our brain is kind of dormant. The reason why is on a normal circadian rhythm sleep pattern, between 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning is when our body is at its lowest, because it's repairing. It's also when most people die of natural causes. So when we get up in the morning, I want you to do these 3 things to me, guys, okay? Get up in the morning before you do anything. Grab hold of the bed, make sure you hold of something, and I want you to take 20 exaggerated breaths in.
Big ones.
20 times. Big breaths and out. By the time you do that, you'll be a bit dizzy. Your brain's on alert straight away. It's like, oh my God, where does oxygen come from? Then we walk into the bathroom. I want you to brush your teeth. If you brush with your right, I want to do 1 week left, 1 week right, and do it for a month. Keep changing, okay? Now we're changing your pathways and thought patterns around our routine. So we're changing that routine, which when we go to the house, other routines will change. We want to get away from old behavior. The last one is the subconscious brain rules the alcoholic and addict. So the 24 hours a day is the conscious brain. If we can live in the now, there's the peace. But what happens with the prefrontal cortex, which is kind of our decision maker, I want an answer, he says to the brain. What happens with alcoholics and addicts and depressed people and childhood trauma people is you go straight to the subconscious brain for the answer. That's always crap. That's always not good enough. Always. So we want to start feeding this. So if 300 neural pathways again die, what you're replacing it with, stand in front of the mirror from 6 feet away. Don't stand near the mirror like this and do this, because when we stand near the mirror and we're shaving or putting makeup on, girls, we see all our blemishes. That's not how people see us. When's the last time you were in the office? Hey, buddy, how you doing? We don't do that. But when we stand 6 feet away, like other people see us, the blemishes disappear. Look yourself in the eye. Simple, I love you 10 times. I love you, I love you. Got to say it out loud, which will train the internal dialogue as well. And you'll find the next time you drop a pen on the floor, for instance, you're not a stupid idiot. You just dropped a pen on the floor. Do them 3 things, guys, plus compliment 3 people. Your life will change from tomorrow.
Awesome. So listeners, you heard it here with Dr. Robb. Try those 3 things first thing tomorrow morning. Let us know how it goes. I think, Dr. Robb, you were actually going to provide a phone number for them, and we can put it right here on the screen somewhere. You want to blurt it out for us?
Of course. Hey, guys, here's the deal. If you're at home and you're in that place, and if you're an alcoholic and addict, depressed or childhood, you know what place I'm talking about. Don't just call me to say hi. I love you, but I'm very, very busy. Text me 214-600-0210. And here's the deal. I will text you straight back, even if I'm in session. And I'll arrange for me and you to have a 15, 20 minutes pep talk that will change your life. And do you know if it doesn't, guys? I'm going to send you $100 for wasting your time.
There you go, guys. If you need
Oh,
help,
baby.
get with Dr. Kelly. You have nothing to lose. Absolutely nothing to lose. He just said he would give you some money if it didn't help. So we're going to go ahead and flash this number on the screen somewhere around here, wherever Matt decides to get it put. But we'll also we'll put out your website, your social medias, all that will be on the episode as well. Do you want to just give the listeners a quick couple words of wisdoms before we end the episode?
I want you to do this, guys. Next time somebody says you can't do that, I want you to answer this. Says who? Well, that's the way life's supposed to be. Says who? I'm going to break every boundary. I'm going to get them or I'm going to kill it every day. I'm going to be a 10 out of 10 every day. Well, you can't be. Says who?
Prove them wrong.
Every time, baby, every time. And then the more success you get, or the more money you get, the more people you can help, the more people you can bless. Never believe your naysayers. You can't do that. Well, says who? You can't be on TV. You can't be on Oprah. You can't be. Says who?
Says who? I
Because
agree. I think that is one of the best things that someone can do is say, I'm going to prove them wrong in one way or another. And I think that actually helps people propel in the right direction.
correct. All the time. You got to believe it, guys. All the time. You can change the mind to program the brain every 24 hours to succeed. And, you know, a few years ago, people used to say to me when I told them this, well, I can't be president of the United States. Let's forget your political views for a second. We're a freaking businessman with no political experience in the country for 4 years. Don't dare tell me that you can't achieve your dreams. It's not true.
Absolutely. I agree. All right, listeners, Dr. Kelly has given you a couple things to do for some homework. Get those things done. Get back to us. Let us know how you feel, what you think about it. And if you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns for Dr. Kelly, feel free to email them to us and we will get Dr. Kelly to answer them for you. Dr. Kelly, I want to thank you for coming on to the show. Wish you would have been able to meet Matt, but I'm sure we'll do a part 2 so you can meet Matt. But again, I appreciate you taking the time to join us today, giving our listeners some very good information, some credible information, and even getting interactive with it and getting some engagement. So thank you for giving our viewers something to do.
Thank you, man. Thank you, Chris. And thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure. Absolutely. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.